Okay, welcome everybody for another video of Craig Greenwood's views on the world that we find ourselves in now. I'd like to big shout out, thanks for all the support I've been getting, phone calls and chats. It's been awesome, and it's certainly a good way of keeping our mind focused on other things than just the lockdown. Just heard that the lockdown's going on for another basically 3 weeks. So we've got one more week of 4 and then going down to level 3, which is, to be fair, not much difference. Especially for a lot of businesses who won't be able to open in level 3. So that's really hard. And so my heart goes out to all you guys and girls out there that are trying to get back to work and open business. And of course, we're not allowed to do that, which is a crying shame. Also just heard on the radio that all the people in the Labor government or the cabinet, none of them have ever owned a business in their life. So of course they don't understand or appreciate the hardship that we might be going through or what it takes to reopen. So hopefully we'll get back there as quick as we can. But otherwise, we're just going to hang it out and do the best we can. All right, so today I'm going to talk a little bit about money and cryptocurrencies and the banks. And it's an interesting topic which I've learned about for over a long period of time. And I was lucky enough to invest in cryptocurrencies quite early, which is good. So we'll start off with the banks. And the banks, in the old days, the banks were very simple operations, if you like. They took money in, they gave you interest, and they lent it out to other people and collected interest on the way. Since then, that has changed a lot, especially in the last 20, 30 years. Banks have been doing all kinds of stuff. They invest in all kinds of stuff. They do fractional lending. They invest in all this other, future stuff in America that we're allowed to just do basically anything really, which is what caused the big bailout in 2008, banks just getting way too greedy, investing in stuff they shouldn't have been, way over leveraged. And we had huge problems with that global financial crisis. And that's a shame, but that's what they've been doing. And it almost appears to me that they try and get so big that they're too big to fail. You would have heard that scenario. And so then they know that the government's going to come in and help them. So that makes them basically take a lot more risks than you and I would do if we were operating a similar situation to what they do. So that's a bit of a shame. But banks basically, obviously, any kind of interaction we do businesses wise, take money in, credit cards, FPOS, all that kind of stuff. For banks, it's all about fees. As I said before, they make $550 million just out of KiwiSaver. So all they're concerned about is making fees on fees, which is why they will come out and they will, first of all, they want to ban cash. Governments and banks want to ban cash. The reason they want to ban it is because it's really hard for them to make money out of it. So banks can't charge a fee. So if someone comes into here and buys a go-kart ride or a race car drive, they swipe their credit card or FPOS machine through the FPOS machine, the banks take a bit of money out of that, and I can't charge that on. So the banks take money out of it and they're all happy. If someone comes and pays me cash and then I go pay that into the bank, of course there's no fees on that, very little. So banks, that's why they want to get away with cash. Governments want to get away with cash because then they will be able to monitor us a lot better and make sure that they can tax every last little bit out of you as much as possible. So we need to kind of resist that as much as possible. So that's why you'll see that banks come out and say that cryptocurrency is a bad thing, that the only people who use cryptos are criminals, and that's because they can't make money out of it, they've got no control of it, and they don't want to lose their grip or their power over it, something like that. So the best way to describe cryptos really is the fact that at the moment, if I want to pay you or somebody that's overseas a lot of money, I have to go and do a Swiss transfer, international money transfer. It goes on a couple of accounts, it takes a couple of days, and the banks obviously charge a fee for that, and they're all happy, and the other person on the other end gets their money. With cryptos, it's a peer-to-peer system. So using a blockchain technology, there is no middle person, no intermediate, so it's just peer-to-peer. So I can pay you anywhere in the world, any amount of money at any time, not a day, and there is no middle person getting a fee or controlling it or anything like that. And that's why banks and governments hate it, because it's all about control for them. So Bitcoin has been around for a long time, came out in 2009 when they did a white paper after the financial crisis, for that reason really, to get away from the banking system that we've got at the moment, and to allow people to be able to go back to the old-fashioned way of me being able to pay you something without some other person being involved or taking a cut out of it, basically, which is what the banks do. So that's what crypto is. Now, crypto has because there is no middle person, when you have what they call a wallet, which is hold your funds in, that you obviously pay other people or people pay you, which is online, that is yours and yours responsibility. So there is no, if you lose your passwords to it or your account number, all that kind of stuff, there is no person to ring up and complain and try and get your those passwords back or whatever, because that's the whole point of it, is that you own it, you've got it all under your own control, and no one else needs to know what you're doing. So because of that, you have to be a little bit more secure, if you like, a little bit more clever of how you do stuff. There's ways that you can secure it, you can put backups, you can take it offline. So it's all that kind of stuff, it's all doable. But there is stories out there that people have lost Bitcoin, that when it first came out, they might have had 5 or 6 Bitcoins, which, you know, suddenly becomes worth a lot of money now. You know, it was up to 19,000 at one stage. I think it's down to 12 now. $12,000. It started off at 1, so you can see there's a huge opportunity for price gains there. It's basically had 4 huge big falls in its life, so it's very volatile. So you definitely don't want to be owning cryptocurrencies if you haven't got the stomach for a lot of volatility. As I said, I got into early. I think it's got a lot of legs. I think it could go to the moon, but also could go to zero as well. So it's risky. So I'm certainly not trying to give anybody advice here. You need to look into it, do your own homework. But it's a nice little bit on the side to have, just in case it does go to the moon. You could do quite well out of it. But again, you need to make that kind of advice for yourself. So one of the things that I find really interesting is that the whole financial system is it's not taught anywhere. It's not taught at schools. How the banking system works, how the governments fleece up with inflation, which is just stealing your money. Basically, that's what inflation is. You know, a lot of people think that the house was worth $500,000. It's now worth $1 million. It's actually not your house worth anymore. It's just your money worth half the same amount of value. So that's inflation. It's kind of a hard way to get your head around it but when you work it out, then you realise that you still got the same house. It's just the money's worth less. So if you want to increase your knowledge of all this kind of stuff and listen to people who can explain it 10 times better than I ever can, I learned a lot of stuff from a guy called Maloney, and he did a video series of hidden secrets of money. There's about 9 of them, I think. And it's a nice little thing to watch, one a night. Goes right back to basics from what money is, gold and silver, all the way up to where we are today, and all the stuff in between. And if every kid learned that at school, they would have far better knowledge than most of us ever have. So he's a good guy, because he's like me, he's a bit dyslexic, and he had a bit of money, or his mother actually had some money that they put over to a financial advisor, one of those people that go on a course for 3 days and they call themselves a financial advisor. And he lost half of his mother's money in 2 years, I think it was. And when they came in for the meeting, he said, "Oh, don't worry about it. I'm really pleased with what we did. We only lost half. Most other people lost 60, 70%. And so he kind of like, well, we're going to sack him, looked after his own, got to investigate about it, learned about it, realised there wasn't a lot of literature out there that put it all together in a way that you and I would understand it. Otherwise, it's just left for the Wall Street kind of guys. So watch his videos, you'll learn a lot, and it's certainly helped me a lot to understand how the whole world works and all that kind of system. So again, you look into it. That's it for me for that kind of stuff at the moment.